You know that feeling, right? That sinking in your stomach when you look at the clock and realize you are not going to make it on time. We've all been there. But what you say in that next moment, well, that's what really counts. And today, we're going to make sure you get it right.
All right, section 1, the punctuality panic. Let's really dive into that feeling, that moment the clock basically confirms your worst fear. You're officially running behind. Your heart starts racing, your mind is just scrambling, trying to calculate the damage. But right under that surface-level panic is a really high-stakes communication challenge. Seriously, what you do right then and there says a whole lot more about you than the fact that you're late.
And this is exactly why it matters so much. The words you pick can either solidify your reputation as a professional who respects other people's time, or they can completely tear it down in just a few seconds. No pressure, right?
Okay, section 2, a professional's phrasebook. Let's get you the right tools for the job. These are the phrases that are going to help you communicate a delay clearly, respectfully, and without making you look flaky.
This one is a classic, and for a really good reason. Saying you got tied up is kind of perfect. It immediately suggests you were busy with something important, something you couldn't just drop, like a client call or an urgent task, without getting into all the boring details.
The real magic of this phrase is in its professional vagueness. It tells people you are held up by a priority, which signals that you take your work seriously, but it does it all without bogging them down with information they just don't need.
Now, if your calendar is just a wall of back-to-back meetings, this is your go-to. It's short, everyone gets it, and it's instantly relatable to basically any other professional out there. It's not an excuse, it's just a statement of fact.
It's really the perfect way to explain that a prior commitment just took longer than anyone thought it would. See, it's a reason, not an excuse. It puts the blame on the situation itself, not on your bad planning.
Okay, traffic. When traffic is the bad guy, being specific is your best friend. Stuck in traffic is fine, but saying there was a pile-up, that adds a whole layer of seriousness that's pretty much impossible to argue with. It signals this was something major and totally out of your hands.
But you know what? More important than any single excuse is just being proactive. The second you know you're going to be late, you have to communicate it. This one simple sentence shows so much respect for the other person's time and proves you're on top of the situation.
And here's where it gets kind of fascinating. Even a single word can totally change expectations. If you say you'll be there in a sec, you're setting a mental timer in their head for like under a minute. But in a minute, that's more flexible. It buys you a little breathing room. Choosing the right one is crucial for keeping trust.
Okay, part 3. Excuses that backfire. We've talked about the good tools. Now let's look at the broken ones you have to avoid, because knowing what not to say is just as important as knowing what to say.
This is the question you have to ask yourself. So what's the difference between a valid reason and a weak excuse? Well, a valid reason is something you couldn't avoid, like that highway pileup. A weak excuse, that's something that was totally in your control. And this is a masterclass in what not to say. Blaming your lateness on a personal choice, like deciding to wait for coffee, can do some serious long-term damage to how people see you professionally.
Because at the end of the day, a preventable excuse sends a really clear message. My little errand was more important to me than your time. It might seem small, but it's a huge sign of disrespect that can just chip away at trust.
Okay, final section. It's time to adapt our toolkit, because what on time even means, well, it's not the same everywhere. The rules can change dramatically depending on where you are in the world. And just look at how different these cultural norms can be. It's wild. In Germany, for instance, punctuality is super strict for everything. But compare that to North America, where you better be on time for work, but showing up a few minutes late to a dinner party is actually considered polite. And then in many parts of Latin America, a 15 to 30-minute buffer is just normal. Knowing these differences is such a key professional skill. So, to wrap it all up, mastering lateness isn't about finding the perfect excuse. It's really a communication strategy. It's 4 simple steps. 1. Be proactive. 2. Be professional. 3. Be smart and avoid those weak excuses. And 4. Always be aware of the cultural context. It all comes down to respect. Ultimately, how you handle being late is about so much more than just a few minutes on a clock. It's a direct reflection of your professionalism, your respect for other people, and really your personal brand. So the next time you're running late, just take a second and think, what do you want your words to say about you?